Throughout history, humanity has expressed its understanding of the divine through a multitude of gods, each embodying distinct aspects of existence. The Greeks had Zeus, Ares, and Apollo, representing sovereignty, war, and intellect. The Egyptians worshipped Osiris, the ruler of the afterlife, and Thoth, the keeper of wisdom. The Norse revered Odin, the seeker of knowledge, and Thor, the enforcer of order. These gods, though seemingly separate, were never truly independent of one another. Instead, they formed an interconnected web, each fulfilling a role in the greater cosmic order. This fragmentation of divinity mirrored the fragmentation within the human psyche. The gods personified different forces within the self: anger, wisdom, desire, love, chaos, and order. People related to different gods based on which aspect of themselves they most identified with. But was there a deeper truth beneath these divisions? Were these gods merely symbols of a greater unity waiting to be understood? Over time, spiritual traditions began to shift from polytheism to monotheism, not because one belief system violently replaced another, but because deeper philosophical inquiry led to the realization that these various gods were facets of a singular ultimate reality. In Hinduism, Brahman's the formless absolute from which all deities arise, and in Platonism, the One is the source of all being, beyond comprehension, yet the foundation of all things. And in Christianity, God is both transcendent and immanent, expressed through the Trinity, but ultimately indivisible. This movement towards unity was not just a religious transformation, but a psychological one. The divided self, the self that sees love as separate from power, wisdom as separate from action, remains at war with itself. The realization that all aspects of the psyche are one leads to wholeness, just as the realization that all gods are expressions of a singular source leads to divine unity. Consider the figure of Jesus, a being who embodies the integration of all human and divine qualities. He is the king, yet he humbles himself as a servant. He speaks of love, yet wields the sword of truth. He is both fully human and fully divine, bringing together opposites into a singular, complete whole. From a psychological perspective, Jesus represents the individuated self, what Carl Jung called the self with a capital S. He does not reject the different parts of himself, but integrates them perfectly. He is the warrior who fights against corruption, the healer who restores the broken, the philosopher who teaches wisdom, the martyr who surrenders to the greater truth. He embodies every archetype in harmony, making him the ultimate model of human potential. Just as the gods were once seen as separate, but were later understood as aspects of a singular divine reality, the psyche's many conflicting forces, desires, fears, instincts, and ideals must also be reconciled. The human mind, like the pantheon of gods, begins in division, torn between different drives and identities. The goal of spiritual and psychological growth is not to suppress certain aspects of the self, but to unify them under a higher order. Buddha achieved enlightenment by transcending the illusions of attachment and aversion, seeing all things as interconnected. Lao Tzu taught the Tao, the way of balance, where opposites are not enemies but complementary forces in harmony. Jesus lived as the embodiment of divine wholeness, showing that the true self is not found in division, but in complete union with truth. What does this mean for us? It means that enlightenment, salvation, or individuation, whatever term one prefers, is not found in choosing one aspect of the self while rejecting others. It is found in becoming whole. The Christ within us must integrate all things into a higher order, not by force, but by understanding. The ancient gods still live within us as psychological forces, as aspects of the human condition, but they are not meant to rule over us separately. They are meant to be resolved into a singular whole being, the true self, the divine within, the conscience that sees all things clearly. This is the real meaning behind the movement from many gods to one. not the erasure of diversity, but the realization that all things are expressions of the same fundamental truth. The story of humanity is a story of unification, from the fractured gods of old to understanding that all divinity is one, from the divided psyche to the realization of wholeness. Jesus, Buddha, and many others pointed towards this ultimate truth. The self is not many, but one. The gods were never separate. The self was never fragmented. All things were already whole. It's only the illusion that makes them appear divided. To see through this illusion is to awaken, to step beyond the many and into the one.